Victor, welcome back to F.A.C.E. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Got you, Vic. How are you?
Okay, good. Thank you, Dale.
Been a long time. I almost forgot, last time we talked to get you back in the rotation, and I go, God, I have to get Vic back. So, you don't have anything that you want to share, do you?
Uh, when you say
Well,
share, I'm not sure I
all right.
understand.
Well, there's your mug. I don't know if you want
Okay,
to. I don't know if you want to see what I look like on a Friday, buddy, but
you whatever
I'll
you do
do it.
normally.
That's fine. I'm not bashful. Okay. So I want to talk about last time we were together. We don't need any charts, Vic. We'll just
Okay,
talk like
good.
this. We're
True.
buddies. We're brothers in arms in the market and the battle. So, what's front and center on your radar before I get back to our last conversation? What are you thinking here, Vic?
Well, I have an opinion on virtually everything, and I am. It's a very strong opinion. I mean, I don't have any, let's say,
You're not
hesitancy
strongly
in.
neutral anything.
No, I know
All right.
what I think is going to happen, and I'm willing to put my money and verbal commitments on the line.
Okay. So let's hear what you have conviction about. We want to start with oil. When we were talking, during the war and, people were talking 150. Did it surprise you that we had that, mini breakdown under 94 support, went to 85? And do you think that's a low? I know you're a bull in crude.
I'm a long-term bull in crude. I basically, when Biden used the reserve to
Yeah.
lower the price, plus the Fed, it had to go in correction. And let me give you a reason why I'm flat oil at the moment.
Okay.
I have these things I created that S&P branded called the DTI, the Diversified Trends Indicator, and the Commodity Trends Indicator. And everything I had that was long in last month, a month ago, went short.
Yeah.
So oil, we don't short. We go flat for risk of ruin reasons because it only trades once a month. So literally every commodity I have in my
You're
trend
short.
following indicator is short, except natural gas. That's the only one that's long.
Okay. And so you're just going to go with these trends. You're not interested in buying a break in gold at 1740 or silver at 1920. You need trend reversals to get you in the market.
I am long a lot of gold personally, and in the things I do. I, I like most people, everybody's frustrated about gold. Gold is a function of two things that are keeping it down: the dollar and manipulation. Those are what's keeping it down. So until the dollar, the Fed stops talking about raising rates as they did yesterday, now it's 75 beeps again at the September meeting. See, this is moral suasion. In my whole career, dating back when I used to read the Fed minutes from the mid 60s, I went back to the 50s. The Fed never did this. This is verbal manipulation. If the markets fall for it, God bless them. They, believe it. The Fed is bluffing. It's lying. It has no logic to raising rates before an election, 75 basis points
That's true.
when you're in a recession. So you either have to take a stand. The Fed is lying and bluffing. They are not going to raise rates 75 beeps. But when they say that, the markets respond, and they should, because the market's made up of day traders. They sell. The longer term traders wait. And,
Well, you yourself, Vic, said that I asked you once, do you think the Fed is making a policy error? Let me quote you. They always make policy errors. All right. So is it possible
correct.
that we have a Volcker cocktail with they're going to continue to tighten because they're looking at the labor market, and it's happening during a weakening economy? So you have tightening going on with growth decelerating.
Well, if they put it this way, I don't believe they're going to raise rates I give them a little more credit. I give them credit for lying because they're a political organization, just like all other politicians, although they claim not to be, which is baloney. But the bottom line is, if they do raise rate 75, now you're talking 208 again, because the economy is falling off a cliff. And I wrote this up about a week ago. The employment numbers are a sham. I hate to sound like I'm critiquing government everywhere I look, but in this case, it's so true. In the last reported numbers, 528,000 payroll jobs created in July.
Yeah, waiters.
Now, 2 months of the year, jobs decline, always. One is the beginning of the year when they fire everybody from the Christmas season. So you get a big decline in jobs in January. It's almost 3 million. Okay, 3 million. So what the Fed does, or the BLS in this case, what they do is they try to smooth that data. So they don't say 3 million jobs counted. Those are counted. Those are non-seasonally adjusted. The seasonally adjusted numbers give license for the government to tell you whatever they want. These numbers are made up. The
You don't think there's a labor shortage, Vic, during the Great Resignation? The people who, after COVID, just didn't want to go back to work again?
I'm only talking. That's a separate conversation.
Okay.
I'm only talking about the reported numbers.
Okay.
In July, the actual counted numbers were minus, not plus, 375,000 in July. And that is consistent with the last 10 years. The only exception was 220, which I can understand. But 9 out of 10 years.
So it's just PR in front of the midterm, the numbers that are coming out.
Well,
it forces Paul's hand to try and slow down a report that's phony. Slow down what's behind a phony report.
It is part of the agenda to continue to keep inflation down, is to talk it down, meaning to stop people from buying things and also to make them poorer so they don't feel like they can go out and buy things. So the process here is the reverse
wealth
effect, and that's the policy. So the point I'm getting at is, they tell you you've got 526,000 jobs created. It lost 375,000. There's also 309,000 called from what they call the birth-death effect, the death-birth effect, which they estimate how many new businesses were opened and people hired, which they never count. It's estimated. It's an algorithm they created in the 80s. So all I can say is you're talking about over 1 million jobs are misrepresented. So the economy, and here's my position now, the economy is falling off a cliff. It's dying, and it's around the world. It's England.
Yeah, it's worse around the world than it is here.
Correct, but it has an effect on our country. So if you're talking about raising rates 75 beeps, which is the reason you have weakness this week, because that's coming out because the market got too strong. The Fed didn't want it that strong, so they talk it down, which I think is criminal, by the way, because again, they're supposedly looking at they switch from guidance to they're going to be data dependent. Well, if they're data dependent, why are they talking the markets down? Shouldn't they be waiting for the so-called data? You see, it's a big manipulation. Now, knowing this, this leads to what do you do? Well,
fair market rally in equities, Vic.
You don't buy stocks and bonds now or the list this week because you're coming into the speeches at Jackson Hole.
Are you going?
No,
they'd love to see you.
No, I'm not going.
I'm kidding you.
But it's a vacation for the Fed. You can write it off. But the point is, you should be long the dollar still, because higher rates, even though they're talking it up, They have not sold anything from their balance sheets. You hear
Yeah.
these excuses. Well, the mortgage backs take 3 months to settle. In November of last year, I've got this on YouTube, so I remember the date. Powell admitted we got to get rid of the word transitory. We're not transitory. That was November of last year. They added to the balance sheet until March, and then they theoretically were supposed to sell. They didn't sell.
They're
So
supposed to start in full board in September. There has been a trickle of QT, hasn't there?
a trickle means nothing. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. They're supposed to be selling $37 billion a month in a combination of mortgages and treasuries, and then they're going to go to 95, I think, next month. The point is they're not doing anything to really change inflation. All they're doing is talking. Now, it works to a degree. Bonds are less inclined to believe the Fed than stocks. Stocks have said, we don't believe you. We believe you're bluffing. And I've been a bull on stocks until this week. And the only reason I was a bear this week is the market was up 4 weeks in a row. It got very overbought. The volume dried up. Now, part of that is summertime, but it's, we're talking about 600 million to 700 million shares. It can't continue, meaning this rally, without volume.
So is this a trade? Is this a trade for maybe a 38% pullback and then another run? Or do you think this is the end of it and we're going to take out the lows?
Well, it's a trade till Jackson Hole, because you're going to get more information then.
Okay.
And then you see what they say. But I don't believe the lows will be taken out this year. I think next year they could. This year, the lows are in. And the reason is, and Dale, this is a political organization that no one mentions. People like me, on YouTube, the pros, they don't mention the election. That's the power of the country. And you saw what happened to Liz Cheney. She got killed. The point is, this election is very important. So my belief has always been that the Fed is going to start to indicate lower rates to help the Democrats as best they can before the election. So you're not going to.
Paul is a Democrat?
He's an establishment guy. He's not necessarily a Democrat or a Republican.
President Trump appointed him, correct?
Yeah, at the behest of, I think it was Mnuchin. He doesn't appoint anybody. He gets told what to do.
Okay.
And in this case, I'll highly criticize him. He is absolutely stupid about who he appoints to what. I mean, he appointed Powell, and then 3 months later, he's criticizing.
Yeah, I wanted to fire him until he flipped and sang "Kumbaya" with Yellen and Bernanke, and then he flipped.
Exactly. So Trump didn't really. He was recommended to him like everybody else. Ray was recommended by Chris Christie. He's been a nemesis to Trump. Trump appoints people. He needs to go to HR school. I mean, he's got the worst appointment record I've ever seen.
Well, maybe he's going to have another chance.
Well, I believe he's, he, like most humans, will learn. But the appointments, I don't think he's even talked to these people. He appoints them. He doesn't even know who they are.
I want to get back to the markets. And I know that you're a technical trader. You have views, but you won't go against your indicators and the signals that you get. And last time we talked, you thought there could be a dollar top imminent. And hold on. And we did have a break. And it pulled back from 109 to 104.5. And isn't it possible that we're getting a failing rally up here and we're not going to make new highs? And also, you felt, and I thought about you when Biden went hat in hand to Saudi Arabia and gave a fist pump with the prince. I thought of you. Because relations are still bad. There's still news about, putting women in prison for 37 years for tweets. Do you believe before the year is out that the Saudis will start quoting oil in another currency?
I think that the way to answer that question specifically, they're going to accept as payment for oil
That's different.
a second form of payment, meaning
Yeah.
if the BRICS come up with a basket of currencies, they will accept that for oil and not be exclusive to the dollar, but going off the dollar to something else, not yet.
Okay. All right. So bullish a dollar until you get sell signals. I happen to think this might be a failing rally up here. I'm wrong at new highs. I'm looking to short it sometime next week.
All right. Let me just define to you what I see that happened. The Fed did a switch. I won't call it a pivot, but a switch by saying they're going to look at being data dependent, not forward guidance. That's what a strong part of this rally is. Stocks always believed the Fed would come in because the election is such an important feature of this year. So what happened is the dollar was selling off with that, because being data dependent means if you believe the economy is weakening, we're in a recession. Forget what they're trying to convince you otherwise. The economy is going to weaken. Therefore, the dollar sold off, because they should be effectively saying we're on pause. They're not going to switch immediately.
Right.
So what happens is, now that when you come back in, if you notice, this happened about a week ago, the market rallied so much that they started to come out and talk the talk again. We're going to raise rates 75. Somebody mentioned Citigroup came out and said they should raise 100. You see, it's all manipulation. It's mind manipulation. Now, you got to go with the Fed, because, again, they can do whatever they want. They've got a printing press that they're not afraid
So they're
to
not
use.
data dependent. They're S&P dependent. So if the market's rallying, they can talk like hawks. And if the market's under pressure, they can put their dove clothes on for a week.
Correct. It's all manipulation. They want their agenda. They don't want the markets up enough to make you feel that you can go out and spend and raise inflation rates by spending. So they want to make everybody poorer, is really what they want. That's their answer to inflation.
Okay, well, it's working.
To a degree, it is. Making people poorer works.
Yeah. So, I also want to know what you think about Pelosi's recent trip to Taiwan, and then there's been another delegation there, and then China running military drills. They going in this fall?
Okay, that I don't have a strong opinion. I have an opinion. Okay, just so you know, most of the stuff I have convinced, I put money on the line. I don't believe they're going to go in the near term for several reasons. The reasons are they're in effectively a recession.
Yeah,
they're still fighting their COVID issues. And more importantly, there's potential riots because of the banks. They put tanks in front of banks.
I thought they were just rural banks.
Well, this is spreading. I mean, in other words, it gets around. So my point is, I think they feel safe about what they're doing, and they're going to go into Taiwan one day. But I don't think they want to do it under these conditions, especially with Russia still getting sanctioned and still, in the sites. But they are telling you by all their actions, their military actions, they will. I don't think they'll do it this year.
Okay. Last time I talked to you, you said Russia will win the war. What do you think?
No, they've won.
Okay. You mean because they have control of what they needed, the land bridge, right?
Yes. Well, in everything. I mean, Ukraine is not moving forward in any degree. Now, let me just one thing. If you read Sun Tzu, you'll notice what Putin is doing. He also, there's another Prussian general they follow, which basically says this: you attack the army, you don't attack the civilians, and you don't attack the infrastructure. So Putin is following that exactly. He is not attacking the Ukrainian citizens. He's not attacking infrastructure. He only kills the Ukrainian troops.
That's not
That's
what
his
I
goal.
see on film.
Well,
I see
it
massive.
depends.
I see cities that look like a nuke hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah, are the
Well,
Ukrainians blowing up their own cities, Vic?
well, I don't have firsthand information to that, but I've heard that. I mean, you
Okay.
can't listen to our press. I mean, you have to get a well-rounded information. You got to listen to RT. You've got to listen to several experts on Russia. I mean, I don't know if you know. I think his name is Steiger or Steiner.
Yeah.
He's on Judge Napolitano all the time. I forget. He's a former Marine. He's an information expert. I forget his name at the moment. But if you listen to the other side, you get a different vision of what's going on.
Okay. And I know that Putin believes in tactical nukes. Is he going to blow up that nuclear reactor? I mean, they're sitting there firing from that reactor. If I'm to believe reports from different sources, they never left that reactor.
Okay. I don't know if he's going to blow up a reactor. I know he does not want to use nukes. Okay. He doesn't have to. He's winning decisively by just the erosion of the army, because he's using artillery on the army. And again, he doesn't want to blow up the cities.
Okay. All right. Well, that's that's something that I'm not seeing, and I want to just get back to wrapping something with the markets and how people could follow you. What's your best idea going into the end of the year?
Well, my belief is the Fed is bluffing. So they're not going to raise rates 75 beeps in September. The economy is weakening and we are in a recession. The jobs numbers are bogus. You can go look at the non-seasonally adjusted jobs. They're the complete, they have to make up 1 million jobs by the end of the year. See, they have to balance at the end of the year.
So then buy everything on the bluff that's depressed.
Well, I'm looking at the market selling off now. You got to wait till Jackson Hole. I don't think the markets go up before Jackson Hole. Now, depending on what they say, you have to adjust your tactics. I mean, if they give you an indication that the economy is slowing and that they may pause, which is the talk, except for the negative talk by some of the FOMC members who are the hawks and are sent out to push the markets down by talking this 75 basis point stuff. My view is they're not going to raise rates because the election will look at Liz Cheney. I mean, that's going to happen. If you go, you cause a recession where jobs are starting to get lost and the economy is plunging, then they're going to lose power for 20 years.
Yeah. I'd also like to ask you if I said that was the last question, but I was lying. Okay, because I want to ask you about these grains. I know you follow them. They're great technical markets, and wheat has gotten killed because we've gotten some decent weather, beans and corn as well. Does the trader instinct in you think that there's value in this big break that we've had in grains, regardless of what the Fed does? Even if they keep tightening, they can't print corn, wheat, and beans.
Correct. The only issue you're coming into, Dale, is after August, and August is usually the top seasonally for the grains. So you're running into a major seasonal hurdle here. The reason you buy these grains, you buy them in early January, and basically then you've got the seasonals working for you. So I look at them as being in a pause correction stage, and it's mainly seasonal.
Okay. All right. Maybe sometimes have you noticed you get post-harvest lows in October?
Yes.
They ever come early?
Usually not, but I'm sure they have. I just don't remember when.
Okay. All right. Well, Victor, great seeing you and talking to you. And you don't pull punches. we're kindred spirits in that department.
Correct.
So
Dale.
much respect, Vic, and I'm always rooting for you, buddy.
Well, thank you. It's nice to speak to you again, Dale, and thank you.
All right, everyone. My trading warrior brother, Victor Sperando. You can't learn experience, right, Vic? You have to live it.
Correct.
All
You
right,
have to
buddy.
lose money to learn how to win.
Love it. All right,
Okay.
that's a wrap, everyone. Hope you enjoyed Vic. He's really, it's like talking to a legend. And everyone have a great weekend. Good hunting the rest of the day. And remember, don't just count your pips or your currencies or your short positions. Count your blessings. See you guys next week.
Okay. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Vic.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.